Hi, I'm Dr. Sridhar Kalyanasundram. Welcome to my channel. I hope you are enjoying watching the series on immunization. And in this video, I'll be covering some general aspects of vaccination. So the schedule for vaccination usually depends on the country where you are resident. There is consideration to specific risk factors, for example, ethnicity-based risk for hepatitis B or the tuberculosis prevalence of the country you come from or where you are exposed for the BCG vaccines. The age dependent vaccines, if there are delayed vaccination, catch-up schedules are available. The reason we give multiple doses in the beginning is the impact of the passive antibody transfer from the mother on the efficacy of the vaccine. So because the maternal antibodies are in the baby system, the vaccine is less efficacious, so you need to repeat the boosters. While if you give it older age, the same vaccine schedule is altered to give fewer doses. So most countries offer government-supported expanded program of immunization, and if you have private practice, some optional vaccines are given based on the local body like Indian Academy of Pediatrics recommendation in India, and in UAE as well we have the government schedule and private schedule where you have additional vaccines. So we have to review the country's schedule. I'm not discussing each schedule in detail. You will find it in the website if you Google your country's name and ask for the vaccine schedule. Ask for the most updated version because the older versions come up when you search on Google as well. And you can discuss with the pediatrician about the optional vaccines as well. So the site and route of administration, so obviously we have the oral vaccines like the oral polio vaccine and the rotavirus vaccine, which is given orally. The advantage of the oral vaccine is it induces local immunity in the gut as well. It's given in the babies, the intramuscular injections usually in the anterolateral thigh, and in older children and adults it's usually given in the deltoid region. The BCG vaccine is given intradermally. It's a different technique from the intramuscular or the subcutaneous where the needle goes at an angle. Intramuscular, it goes straight in. The length of the needle should be according to the size of the patient. If the muscle bulk is more, you need a longer needle to reach the muscle, otherwise you'll end up injecting into the subcutaneous tissue. So the thigh for infants, the buttocks is not much used for vaccines, partly because of the exposure needed and also the risk of sciatic nerve injury if you're not giving it appropriately. So preferably the thigh. And you can give more than one injection in the same thigh, space it apart, and you can give on the opposite thigh as well. So usually 2 to 3 injections maximum in one visit. Are there any contraindications to vaccination? So we have temporary contraindications like pregnancy and immunosuppression. This is especially for the live vaccines. It's like a contraindication, but in the case of non-live vaccines, it's more like the efficacy may be less if you give in immunocompromised patients. And pregnancy is always a risk, so you have to study them separately. The permanent contraindications, if you have received a vaccine before, like the influenza vaccine, and developed an anaphylactic reaction, you should never get that vaccine again. If you have severe combined immunodeficiency, the BCG and rotavirus vaccines or the live virus vaccine should not be given. The precautions depend on previous exposure. Most of the time, this has reduced after the acellular pertussis component because the high fever, persistent crying, the hypotonic, hyporesponsive episodes all were related to the cellular pertussis component. Febrile seizures can happen with the MMR vaccine. It can happen with other vaccines as well when the fever comes up. MMR vaccine typically because of the age at which it's given, high risk of febrile seizures at 9 months to 15 months of age. If there is a severe acute infection, a minor cold is not a contraindication to the vaccine. You can continue with the schedule. However, if the child has a febrile infection, you can delay it. If you have given immunoglobulin for any reason, you want to delay and you have to follow the recommendations. So what can be the adverse reactions to vaccines? So BCG, for example, in an immunocompromised patient, you may have fatal dissemination. That's why in UK, for example, the BCG vaccine is delayed till the results of the newborn screening for the sudden severe combined immunodeficiency is available. So the SCID or sudden severe combined immunodeficiency screening is not available in most countries. It's been recently introduced in UK, and that's why they revised the schedule to give it after 28 days for the high-risk population. So this is very rare. As you can see, it's like less than 1 per million. The oral polio very rarely causes vaccine-induced paralytic polio, and that's the reason most of the developed world has gone to injectable polio. and it's like 2 to 4 per million. It's very rare as well. The whole cellular pertussis vaccine as part of DPT will have these defects, and the measles vaccine can cause thrombocytopenia, anaphylaxis because of the egg containing and febrile seizures. And rotavirus vaccine, the reason we have time-bound restrictions for the rotavirus is because of the increased risk of intussusception, which is a problem related to the intestines, the telescoping of the one part of the intestine into the other, and it presents with tummy distension, vomiting, and sometimes blood in the stools. The child has severe pain and they will be crying. So if it's unexplained crying or blood in the stools after a vaccination or the age group for vaccination, consider rotavirus as a predisposition. However, if you follow the age recommendations, the risk is very low. It's less than 1 per 100,000. So I hope this simple description is useful, and do subscribe and share. Thank you.